All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Sydney, and you are here with the From Hobby to Full-Time podcast for personal stylists who are ready to take their side hustle a lot more seriously. We are on a 3-part series about you really would be gonna become a personal stylist. We are talking about what it's really like to run a business, things they don't tell you, and the things you'll need to do to succeed. I think there are a lot of misconceptions about personal styling as an industry, what it takes to become a personal stylist, what it is you're really doing as you become a personal stylist. And so I want to just break it down for you. So this is part 2 of our series, and we are going to talk about 3 things that do not mean that you'll make a good personal stylist. So let me rework that a little bit. There are 3 myths that I think people say or think that if you have these 3 things, you'll make a good personal stylist. And that's not true. So we're going to debunk that in our show today. So let's dive right in. If you are watching this on YouTube, I'm sorry, it's a little bit dark. It's raining outside, but the show must go on. So let's go. Now, if one more person says to me, you must really like shopping to be a personal stylist, I don't know what I'm going to do, because guess what? I actually hate shopping. And shopping is really not even what I do as a personal stylist. So I'm going to say that again. Shopping is not what I do as a personal stylist. Now, at this point, especially if you're dreaming of becoming one or just starting out as a stylist, you may be a little confused. But if you've been with me for a minute, or you're in the Founders Club, or you've even been working as a stylist for a few years now, then you'll know what I'm talking about when I say that shopping is not what we do as personal stylists. So yes, shopping is a part of being a stylist. It is a service that you do, but it is truthfully one of the very last parts that we do in the business. Or if you are running a service-based process, it's the last stop in one of the last stops in your service process with your clients. It is not the start. It is not the sole service that you do. And so today I'm going to bust the myth that if you like shopping, you'll make a good personal stylist, and 2 other myths that people say all the time. So let's start with myth number 1. This is the person that comes up to you and says, you've got amazing style. You would make a great personal stylist. That is a lie, my friends. So first of all, being able to dress your body type, and wear something cool and fun and funky does not mean that you'll be able to dress anyone else's body type, right? There's a lot of people that are really great at dressing for themselves, but they don't know the first thing about dressing somebody else's body type because it's so different than their own. And as a personal stylist, you actually have to study body types. I remember very distinctly when I took on my first male client. He was the husband of one of my female clients, and she was one of my favorites. She's so funny and amazing. And I had to Google, what are men's body types? Because I had no idea. I had worked so much with women, and I knew those body types sound cold, but I had no idea what men's body types were. And fun fact, they have distinct body types just like women, and there are specific ways to dress men's bodies that obviously I can dress myself, but I don't know about that until I do the research and study. So 1, just because you have amazing style and can dress your body, that doesn't mean you can dress somebody else's. 2, your style is amazing, right? You've honed it. It's your creative expression. But just because you can create that for yourself, that also doesn't mean that you're going to be able to create and craft a style for somebody else, for somebody else's lifestyle or personality or budget in an elevated way that's not going to be a replication of your style. That's what I find a lot, is that some stylists, especially when they're first starting out, or people that think they want to be stylists, they create mini them. And that is not your job as a personal stylist. Your style is not your client's style, nor should it be. If it overlaps, great, but you're not going around replicating and creating mini yous. And finally, in this little myth, I want to talk about the fact that your love of fashion means nothing to your clients, okay? Fun fact, your clients probably literally don't give a shit about fashion. They don't care about Vogue, they don't care about runways, they don't care about Fashion Week. They just want you to make it getting dressed easy. So you wearing the latest fashions and knowing the latest trends doesn't mean you're gonna make a good personal stylist. It also doesn't mean that you can't make a good personal stylist, right? I would venture to guess that every personal stylist has a great sense of personal style because as a stylist, we love clothes, right? And we have found our own sense of style. We know how empowering and confident that makes you. And that's part of the reason why we become personal stylists, right? We see how freeing and amazing and empowering and confident you become when you have great clothes and the clothes represent your true authentic personality. And we want to give that to other people. So fear not. If you've got a great personal style and you want to do that and you're not quite sure how to help other people find their style, that's fine. It can be learned, but I do want you to know going into it that just because you've got good personal style doesn't automatically make you a good personal stylist. You're going to have to do some training. You're going to have to get some education, and then you can do that. So I personally used to have what I kind of think is pretty horrible style, but over time I learned what really worked for me. And then this in turn was enabled me to work with my clients and give them great style. And I also believe that is the cornerstone of my business. That's why I believe that personal style can be taught to my clients because I taught myself style. All right, myth number 2. Someone comes up to you and says, you love shopping. You're always shopping. Personal styling would be the perfect job for you. Wrong. Remember in the intro how I talked about the fact that I hate shopping? So I'm going to be the first one to bust your bubble on this. When you are shopping for clients as a personal stylist, you are on a timer. You are on a clock. You are getting paid. This is not leisurely window shopping. You are in and you are out. If you cannot speed shop, you are going to lose a lot of money. And guess what? Shopping for people is the least favorite part of my job. And for a lot of the stylists I work with in the Founders Club, it's also their least favorite because there are so many options out there, so many brands. It makes my brain hurt, and I'm a professional. So it's no wonder that clients hate this too. So obviously, yes, you can love shopping and that can make you a good stylist, but just because you do like shopping, that doesn't mean you're gonna love it as a job. It doesn't mean that just because you can find good deals that you're going to be able to replicate that or want to replicate that for your clients. All right, myth number 3. You are so good at cleaning out and organizing things. You should do that for people's closets and wardrobes and become a personal stylist. Okay, for the love of all that is holy, there is a big difference between someone who can come in and clean out your closet and organize a space from that organizational standpoint than someone who can come in and clean out your closet from a personal stylist perspective. And so what I mean by this is that an organizer typically is coming in with a purpose to clean out and organize a space. A personal stylist is going to come in and also clean out and also organize your closet, but from the vantage point of your personal style and seeing potential in certain items. I can't tell you how many clients' closets I've gone through where they have wanted to get rid of a piece because they haven't worn it in a really long time, or it just frustrates them, or for some other reason, right? Not because the piece is horrible, because a lot of times I've said, hey, this is a really cool piece. Let's hang on to it for a little while. When we get to the outfit creation portion of your service, we're going to make some really awesome outfits with this. And that is what separates someone who's just organizing from someone who's a personal stylist. So just because you're good at organizing, this doesn't necessarily mean that you inherently have the style, know-how, and taste to help a client transform their wardrobe. So those are the 3 myths that I want to bust. Myth number 1, you've got amazing style, so you make a great personal stylist. Myth number 2, you love shopping. Personal styling would be the perfect job for you. And myth number 3, you're really good at cleaning out closets and organizing, so you should do that for people's closets and wardrobes. So these are 3 myths. They're not true. Just because you are good at and like those 3 things, that doesn't mean you're going to be a good personal stylist. Now, I don't want this episode to be a super downer for you, and I've tried to go through and be careful with each of these and let you know that you can either learn these or you can learn how to take these inherent traits and turn them into a personal stylist job for yourself. And I want to give you 3 things that you do need to have in order to be a good personal stylist. Because one of the topics I'm going to talk about in this upcoming podcast are the many career paths to becoming a personal stylist. I would say that probably 90% of the stylists that I work with in the Founders Club have come from backgrounds like social work or being a teacher or like real estate, or they were in a completely different field before they turned to personal styling. So it's not necessarily about going to fashion school or having a bunch of certifications. You can be in any field and learn how to become a stylist. But the 3 things you do need to have to be a good personal stylist are going to be really good organizational, administrative, and time-oriented skills. So nothing about style or fashion here, but if you're going to be a stylist, you need to be able to be on time for appointments. You need to know if you have a 3-hour span to clean out somebody's closet, what is that pace going to look like, and how are you going to keep that client on track? I've had a lot of clients that are really slow as they're going through their closet and they want to talk about each and every piece, but because I work for myself, I'm on a clock and they're paying me, I've got to keep on top of that and I've got to keep them on track. Obviously, when you own a business, you've got to be organized and you've got to have good administrative tasks. Number 2, you need to have a solid grasp on different body types and what looks good and bad on each of those, right? And when I say good and bad, that's a little bit subjective, right? But there are basic guidelines that if you are, say, a heavier on the bottom type body shape and you're a woman, you want to draw attention up, away from the heavier side. So whatever you can do to make, layers or prints or jewelry or scarves to bring the eye up, that's going to balance the body type. You don't have to necessarily know this. You can learn it and study it. Well, you do have to know it. You don't have to come into this field knowing these things. You can learn them and you can study them, but you do need to understand body types. If you don't understand body types, you have no business being a personal stylist. End of story. All right, the 3rd thing you need to have as a personal stylist is that you need to have good taste for yourself and for others that has been honed over the years, and a willingness to explore outfit options at the risk of them not working out. So what I mean by this is that I do think, 1, personal style can be learned, right? Your own personal style is going to evolve. Mine certainly has, and I feel like I'm pretty settled now, but in that exploration of my own personal style, I learned a lot about clothes and body types and what I like and don't like and why, and have been able to translate that into almost like personality traits. So when I'm talking to clients, I get a feel for their style and their personality and their budget and their lifestyle, and I kind of know what clothes work with that. And that's because of just years of doing this. Some innate skill, yes. I do think I'm innately talented at putting together outfits for people. But I think a lot of this comes from my willingness to explore outfit options at the risk of them not working out. And I did this a lot for myself. And a lot of times when I'm with clients creating outfits, I'll say, hey, let's try this top with this bottom. And the client will try it on. And I'm like, oh, that's not quite what I was envisioning in my head. Let's, try something else. And as a good personal stylist, you have to be willing to create something and then not have it not work out. And I think that can be hard sometimes, especially if you're starting out, because you want to present this idea or this front that you know exactly what you're doing all of the time and all of your things always work out. And it's just not going to. So give yourself some of that leeway to experiment and have fun. Your clients are going to trust you way more if you're willing to experiment with them and be able to kind of laugh and say, you know what, I do this in my own closet all the time. Outfits in my head don't always come out the way I'm imagining them. And this is part of the process, right? This is the part of when getting dressed can be fun and playful and experimental. So the 3 things that I do believe you need to have in order to be a good personal stylist, this can be innate or this can be learned, is to have really good organization, administrative, and time-oriented skills, have a solid grasp on different body types, what looks good and bad on each, and then have good taste and the willingness to explore outfit options at the risk of them not working out. Now, obviously, there are other things that you also need to have. You need to know what brands work for your clients. You need to know what brands work for body types. You need to know how things fit. But that's kind of secondary to these first things because you're going to learn them as a byproduct. So I hope that you enjoyed this episode on the 3 myths that we busted and 3 things that you can start to think about. Do you have the 3 things that I believe you need to have to be a good personal stylist? So that is the end of our business tips podcast. And I want to answer some listener questions. So this one came from India, who actually reached out to me via email. And she gave me a lot of some personal information, so I'm not going to say it all word for word, but I'm just going to kind of summarize. She said she became a personal shopper at Saks, which she really loved and enjoyed, and had the goal, and this is in paraphrase, had the goal of starting a personal styling company, but has since moved to a different city. And she says, I've purchased a website domain, plan to build out a blog, and use social media to leverage potential clients, but still have this slight level of uncertainty and feel that I need some guidance. So my immediate response to this, the response from my gut, and I'm saying this with love, is that India, you're doing this a little backwards. The reason you have some level of uncertainty stems from where you are in the process. Now, I don't know everything that you've done up until this point, so this is just my guess, and I could be completely off base here. But to me, from the email, it seems that you've gone all the way to step 12 without doing steps 1 through 11. And what I mean by that is really starting with fleshing out your why, your ideal client, your niche, your services, what you'll charge, how your services will be set up, which I really hope is the service process. And all of that needs to be done before you get to the website. I see this all of the time, and I have been guilty of it myself. Creating social media profiles and doing a website, like that's really fun, right? It's kind of the flashy part of the job, and it feels like you're doing something. It feels like you're moving along towards your goal. But if you're doing all of that without doing this background work, you're really doing yourself a disservice, because how can you accurately create a website that's going to stand out from other personal stylists' website, from other people in your city, if you haven't accurately and thoroughly identified your ideal client and your niche, created services that are very specific to those people, and then developed marketing messages that are geared towards those specific people's wants and needs and desires and pain points. So this is something that we go super in depth in the Founders Club, in the Biz Bootcamp very specifically, because I believe really that hardly any personal stylist does the deep dive work on their ideal client and their niche. So I believe that there are 4 layers to uncovering a niche, and what happens is that most people stop at layer 3. They aren't even aware that layer 4 exists, and that's the magic layer. So that is where a lot of my work revolves around, working with personal stylists, is helping them lay that foundation, because without it, like, you are just creating another website, you're creating another personal styling business that is just like everybody else, right? You're helping out women who are too stressed to get dressed, who have so many clothes in their closets and nothing to wear, who, you know what I mean? Like the things you hear all of the time. And if you want to create a successful personal styling business, you've got to stand out in a meaningful way. And that means really doing this deep foundational work that honestly might not be fun. It might be a drag. It might take you a long time. You might get frustrated. You might not even know what the answers are to these questions, but you will discover them over time. And to give you some hope and a little bit of leeway is not the right word, but to give you some inspiration to know that you can change your niche over time, right? This can evolve and expand and change. And in fact, I work with a lot of personal stylists who start out with one niche, and then over time they realize, hey, this is the type of client I really want to work with. And they're able to really hone in on their niche over time. So do these things, and I think that will help you feel way more certain, and you will have a direction for where you want to go, because that niche, that target client, that marketing, you're going to know exactly how to market once you have those foundational things. So hopefully that helped you. If you still have questions, I would love for you to join the Founders Club. We work through this the first 3 modules in Biz Bootcamp, and it's really, really fun to kind of unlock that magic piece for you as a stylist. And the Founders Club is open now, so it will be open through February. What day did I decide myself? February 20th, I believe, 20th or 27th. Don't quote me on that. But it is open now. It won't be open again until April. So if you are listening to this and you are ready to start making strides in your side hustle or your part-time, or you're an existing stylist and you really want to take it to the next level, this is a really awesome online community specifically for personal stylists. And you can join monthly, quarterly, or make a yearly, and there's different incentives for each of those levels. So, all right, that is it for this week. It is a wrap on the podcast. You can find me, of course, at Chic Stripes on Instagram, and in my bio there are a few links where you can sign up for the Personal Stylist Digest, which is a monthly newsletter to give you tips on helping you kill it in your personal styling business. Of course, you can sign up for the Founders Club, and then you get a lot more of this a lot more often. And that's it. We will see you next week. Thank y'all. Bye. Oops, sorry, I'm trying to cancel this thing and it's really hard. Okay, stop recording. Bye.